in the Western Hemisphere. And if you are in Europe or Africa, good afternoon. It's nice that you could join us. Today we were hoping to have Faranak Amini from South Africa, but she has other pressing issues today, and so we are joined today by Brian Hayward from Natural Wellness Boston. Hi, Brian. How are you today?
Hi, Gail. How are you? I'm great.
I'm doing well, thank you. It's a little early for me. I mean, I'm sure it's early for other people too in the world. Um, so, so if my eyes aren't all the way open, it's because it's 7 o'clock. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
7 a.m. What am I doing out of bed? Oh, you know, uh, that's what I get for being retired. I guess 7 o'clock seems early.
Yeah.
So today we're here with Brian, and and as I've said, he is from Natural Wellness Boston, but he's also from Lipedema Simplified. Brian's been working with us for just over a year, and he comes to us to help us understand pain management through by using CBD oil. And I know that we always have a lot of questions about CBD, and so I like to bring Brian on. And I'm going to have him discuss about who he is. He's going to take like 2 3 minutes. That sounds like a long time. And discuss about who he is. And while he's discussing it, think about questions you might have, and also throw in the chat where you're from. I see that we have found 15 people. Sorry, my eye went blurry. We have about 15 people right now, and just make sure that we know where you're coming from. Throw your name in there, and if you have any questions about CBD or if you have any results from CBD. So, Brian, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Okay. Uh, I'm retired now. I was a chemical engineer in industry for, I don't know, 40 plus years. And uh, as a teenager, I got hurt playing football and my knee swelled up. And that was kind of like the beginning of pain and just playing sandlot stuff just with my buddies. Uh, and so I developed arthritis in that knee, and it just kept exploding on me for years after that. And I really had no idea what to do. And I also had a lot of back problems, and it appears that was all arthritis based. And now, as an older person, my arthritis has gotten pretty severe. My Mass General arthritis specialist told me that it was as bad as anything he'd ever seen, which made me feel not good. But he said it wouldn't get much worse. And I guess his definition and my definition of much worse are not the same, because it has gotten worse over the years. So anyways, and they tell me there's nothing they can do. They tell me that if you take ibuprofen or Tylenol for pain on a long-term basis, you're going to either destroy your liver with the Tylenol, or you're going to destroy your stomach with the any of the NSAIDs. So I've kind of felt for many years that I couldn't do much of any. I was doing 1,200 a day of ibuprofen, and that helped some, but I had to stop that. So anyways, it's been painful for a long time. I've been unable to open a jar or do a lot of things with my hands that normal people can do. And the arthritis in my other joints flares up periodically and makes me unable to actually walk, but not for long lengths of time. But when things get painful, I'm not able to get around very well. So a lot of things are limited. Anyway, so what I found out was that a friend of my daughter's, who's a nurse, suggested that I try CBD. I tried a salve on my hands, and for the first time in many years, the pain went away. And it was in 10 or 15 minutes, the pain was almost completely gone. And it has been a lot that way ever since, just by putting a salve on. Some days I have to put it on 4 or 5 times a day, but most of the time just a couple times a day. And so that has helped a lot. And then I learned about tinctures and capsules and things. And so I've been taking either tincture or capsule for years because that's something by mouth and it kind of puts CBD in my whole body and it helps with all kinds of issues, including inflammation, which causes the arthritis pain. So when I heard about lipedema from Catherine, uh, I, I just, when she described it and I started to learn about it because I was interested, that inflammation was a key part of the pain that is involved in lipedema pain. And since it helped with the inflammation is the key thing. I do a lot of research, read a lot of research papers, and inflammation is the key thing that seems to cause pain in our body and illness, all kinds of illness. You know, my brain reacts to a signal from somewhere in my body, especially arthritis or any other pain, and it sends help. And unfortunately, the help doesn't work very well for lipedema, and it doesn't work very well for my arthritis and a lot of other things. They send too much, and the body gets inflamed and causes pain. So, anyways, CBD has made a big difference for me. I've learned a lot about the fact that almost everything on the market is not true. So, when you buy CBD from Amazon to your local drugstore to the local gas station, I've got no idea what's in it. At least I didn't at first. Now I can figure it out. But it took a lot of research and a lot of time and finding real people, real neurologists and medical community that's studying these things. So there are very important things about CBD that you need to know in order to be sure you're getting an honest product. And so
Yeah.
I'll explain
So
that.
yeah, and what's interesting, when you talk about inflammation, it seems like so many of us live in chronic inflammation.
Mhm.
It's the acute inflammation, like when you sprain an ankle or you have a wound, something like that. It's that acute inflammation that is sent there to help that particular location. But um, but when it's chronic, then it starts causing a lot of problems. And and we find that CBD helps with inflammation, chronic inflammation. And the other thing that I think is really interesting is that CBD seems to help with a lot of different things.
Mm.
Um, and it always sounds a little snake oily to me, and I will say that probably for the rest of my life. I sometimes have to think it's snake oil, but then when I use it, I get results. And so I have to think, is it the placebo effect or is it what you explained to me as the entourage effect?
Mhm. Right.
And I am starting to believe that it's the entourage effect. And before we go any further than that, we just got a testimonial for you in in the comments from Lisa. But and I want to pop it up here to show you what she just said. It says, "I'm new to the CBD products. I ordered the salve and the tincture from Brian. I have to admit that the salve is wonderful. It takes only a few minutes to get relief. I do need to use it a few times a day. On the other hand, I have only used the tincture once and have no results. It has to do with the taste rather than the app. Perhaps the capsules will work better." And I do have to say that that it tastes, for those people who are not used to taking tinctures or who are used to taking tinctures, often the taste is there's something added to the taste of some, so it's happier in our mouths or it's happier in the back of our throats or whatever. And so sometimes it's hard to take a tincture because you're not quite sure if you can handle all that grassy taste, right? But that's why we have the capsules, because they don't have the grassy flavor that I don't know how else to say it. It tastes green. I don't,
Ah,
you know,
yeah.
it tastes planty.
Mm,
Um, so, but I just wanted to say, you know, that the salve is wonderful, and I use it on my knuckles, and I love it. But I haven't used it on. Well, I have to take that back. I've used it on my feet and I've used it on my hip, just to get some relief from more of a locational pain. Right. So,
mm,
yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hide this again. So, Brian, will you talk to us about um what mu- what okay, so you've done a lot of research. Can you talk to us about what you look for in a CBD product?
okay, great. When I first started, I went on the internet and tried to talk to people, and I got a lot of the salespeople who didn't know what they were selling, and they were, because I know the chemistry of it, because I have that background, that I could tell even they weren't even saying the truth about the things. They just said it worked on everything, and they didn't really know why. And so I started doing the research, and what I found was that the research that I studied, pretty much everybody looks at the CBD product that comes right out of the flower without any alteration to it. And so they don't take ingredients out and put them together and blend them. And they don't. They just take the products from right from the flower, which is called full spectrum CBD. The only thing that I deal with, because I know that the other things don't work. If it doesn't say full spectrum on the label, I wouldn't buy it. So that's the first thing I look for. And I've even found products that say full spectrum on the label and have registrations and things. But then when I read in the fine print, it's pretty clear that they put a little bit of full spectrum products in there, full spectrum CBD, maybe, and it just says full spectrum. So it could be anything. But anyways, and almost everything in there is isolates that they buy cheap on the open market. So it
Oh,
really has to be
so they're building.
right.
So they go out and they build it with other,
They build it with other things, right?
yeah, instead
Yeah,
of it being full
yeah,
spectrum CBD.
yeah, right. So
Oh,
I
that's
like to
tricky.
see that, yeah, the three words full spectrum CBD, and then below that, the milligrams. How many milligrams are in the bottle? Because that's what you pay for. You pay between 5 and 10 cents is the normal range on for anybody who's uh, producing the product and selling it. And so if there's 1,000 milligrams in there, 10 cents per milligram is $100. So you can just kind of think about when you're buying CBD, you want to take the milligrams of CBD and just move the decimal point over one. From 1,000, it's down to 100. That's what you should pay for it. 1,000 milligrams, $100. That's the maximum you should pay. You could pay as low as half of that, and much less than that, you're not getting the truth.
So, but now your salve, your green salve
Mm-hmm.
has 1,000 milligrams in the container, which I think is amazing because I've seen other containers
Right.
that are 2 ounces
Yep.
and there's nowhere near 1,000 milligrams in
Yep.
it. And your salve's $40.
Yep. Yep.
So it's a little less. It's 4 cents per milligram
Yeah.
per milligram,
Yep. That's
right?
right. Makes sense. Yeah. And the
Yeah, four
normal range
cents.
is 5 to 10 cents. So
Okay, so you have a little discount for those of us with
yes, I do.
lipedema. You give
Yep.
us a little discount because you've been working with us. But really, I find that the salve, well, for me, because I don't use it like on my whole leg, or I don't use it on, in a big pot. That salve has been lasting me for months.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
which because it's not like you scoop it out and you slather it, because there's 1,000 milligrams in there. It's pretty
Yep.
strong. You just you just get enough to cover
Yep.
the space,
Yep.
and so it's very economical. That
It
The
is.
salve is very your green salve is very economical,
Very
and
economical. Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
So so that's what you're looking for in price in full spectrum CBD.
Right.
Now, but why does it have to say full spectrum CBD? I mean, what is it about full spectrum?
Okay. So what it is this product comes from the cannabis plant, which is the same basic species of plants that is used to produce marijuana. And so that's been a really big problem with people knowing what's going on with this, because it sounds like it's marijuana and it's not. And CBD doesn't get you high. Marijuana is based on the way the plant is bred, and it's bred to be high levels of a particular chemical called THC. It's a
I just
grandchild in the
My
background.
grandchild just popped up on my couch. Sorry. Sorry, guys. I have to take a little come see me. I just have to take a
Oh,
quick
hi, sweetie. How are you? Good to see you today.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still in my PJs.
Okay.
And my
Okay, have it. You're still in your PJs. Okay. Okay, go. I love you, but okay. We're in the middle. We're in the middle of a nice talk. We have audience members. We have
Yeah,
10
we're on
people
TV.
watching us.
Yeah.
We're on TV. So it's time for you to scoot, okay? I love you. Okay. So okay, so Brian, you were saying that there's a difference between the plants that are THC, bred for THC, and that are bred for CBD.
Right. So the plant, it's the same beginning plant that's been on the earth for 20 million years, and it developed a lot of compounds in it to protect it. And luckily for us, the same compounds that protect this plant are very protective for us. And so the full spectrum CBD is the plant that's bred to be very little a trace amount of THC in it, because you can't completely make it go away, but you can take as much of the CBD, full spectrum CBD, as you want. You're not going to get high. So that's the difference between that. And so full spectrum CBD is from the plant, and it has hundreds of compounds that the plant developed over all these years to protect itself. CBD is just one of hundreds. The CBN, CBG, all these different compounds that you hear about, and they're all in there. And so when you get full spectrum CBD, you're buying all of these compounds that are in the plant naturally without being adjusted. And that's the safest and best way to get the full effect of the plant, which I really believe in. The other compounds in there are things called like terpenes, which are aromatic compounds, which just means that they go into the air. And so that because it's in the full spectrum, there's thousands of these things. You can't really smell them in there, but there's things like pinene, which is a smell that you walk when you go in the forest, like Japanese call it forest bathing. There's that in there, and that helps with a lot of different things, including my thinking and inflammation. And so there's another terpene that's called limonene, and limonene is the compound that's in oranges and all citrus fruit. And what that does is, among other things, it reduces inflammation, and it because it's a citrus smell, it helps with depression or feeling sad. Uh, if you have citrus in the air, you're going to be a happier person. And so getting essential oils, citrus oils, putting those in the air. The reason why we really get a lot out of that is because it does actually change the chemistry in the brain to smell those things. So they're in the plant.
Right. So when we talk about like things like aromatherapy, which
Yeah.
so many of us believe in, like when we have a cold, we'll put like oregano or
Mm-hmm.
like that in our diffusers. So what you've just explained to me is that these terpenes um, that are aromatic, we've known for a long time that they improve our moods, that they make
Yep.
us feel better
Yep.
because our body reacts to that. They take whatever is in there and it uses it. And so what you're saying then is that the CBD oil, the full spectrum CBD, has many of those terpenes,
hundreds of those terpenes.
hundreds of those terpenes that help us with brain fog. They help us with mood enhancement, and which we heard from somebody yesterday. I heard from somebody yesterday who decided to slather slather her achy parts, her body, with as much salve as she could find in her house. She had a couple different salve products, and she decided, I'm going to use this CBD and I'm putting it on my body because I hurt. And she went to bed, and she said she woke up in the morning, and it wasn't like she was pain free. It was like she woke up with her mood was lighter. So with the salve, it absorbs into our body, and I wouldn't say it's not a fast way to get it through our whole body because it's more local, but putting it on a lot of our body, we're still getting the benefits of all those terpenes with our moods and with our overall feeling of well-being. That was the first time I heard someone say, I actually woke up in a better mood than I have in a long time, and probably because she used so much of it and got it into her system. I know it still sounds a little snake oily, but hey, I'll tell you, we've had so many of our community members give us tell us how it is affecting them. Do you have any testimonials, or do you have any notes from people in our community that you would like to share with us?
Well, I try to talk to everybody that is using the products periodically, and I'm really happy to get a text message from somebody to say, hey, have you got a few minutes to talk? And I get phone calls, and I do Zoom things all the time. Calendly, you can make an appointment to talk. I really want to be able to talk to people and hear about what's going on and give them some thoughts on how they might use the products. One of the ladies that I just talked to yesterday, she wanted me to delay her next shipment, which I did do. She was supposed to get a shipment of the capsules and the salve, and she said she had plenty because she quit using it in December. And I said, oh, okay. She said, well, I wanted to see if it makes a difference. And which is really interesting because I think a lot of people do that. So she stopped taking it for a month, and she's in so much pain now. She said, okay, it makes a difference. I agree. I'm starting right away. What do I need to do to get back on track with it? So my recommendation to people is that you take a capsule or a tincture once in the morning and once at night for 2 weeks. If you take it for 2 weeks like that, and you do it every day the same way, you will know whether CBD is going to work for you within a couple. It really does affect the inflammation in the whole body. And,
and it takes a little bit of time.
It does take some time. It takes a couple of weeks to be, to really get a connection as to what is it going to do for you. And then after 2 weeks of one in the morning and one at night, if you want to save some money, you cut back. So you can do like just either, if you wake up in the morning in a lot of pain or a lot of discomfort, anxiety, it's very good on anxiety. If you wake up with any kinds of problems like that, then you probably should take one in the morning, and then don't take one before you go to bed at night, and see if you still get the results, because CBD is kind of funny like that. Once you get to a certain level in it, you may not need as much as you were getting, and you can drop it down until you notice that you're getting the pain or the anxiety or whatever the depression kind of things back again, then you can go back up to where you were or adjust the dosage that way. So it's a really valuable thing to just do it, do it by the plan right away. And then after 2 weeks, adjust the plan to what fits for you personally. And the salve
Right.
is the same thing. Use the salve, at least a couple times a day, 3 times a day, whatever it takes. And like some of the ladies talked about slathering it on. And so one of the ladies, I got another, one of the ladies, and this is not necessarily the truth, and nothing I say is a medical recommendation. We all know that. We all need to know anyway. Um, she, the woman that I was talking to has rheumatoid arthritis and lipedema and osteoarthritis. So she's got a lot of pain, particularly in her hands. And she said that and she takes rheumatoid arthritis medication, and she had heard that it causes inflammation, but she wasn't sure, but whatever. So she's been started taking the tincture and the salve, and the pain in her hands went down to the point where she tried not taking her RA meds any longer. And she hasn't taken her RA meds for quite a long time. She's not taking them anymore. She said the pain is really down. And that she said,
Wow.
and she takes the CBD tincture daily, and she uses the salve on her hands and knees pretty much daily. And it's the first time in years that she is essentially pain-free. That's a quote from her. First time in
Oh,
years.
oh my gosh.
And I hear that often. The first time in 10 years that I have felt okay. The first time I've been able to feel like I could get up and go out of the house. I've heard that quite a number of times, of like the pain's so bad that, one of the ladies I talked to yesterday, she is just starting. So she doesn't have any results yet. But the kind of pain that she lives with, she says her whole body is in pain all the time. She doesn't sleep, and she doesn't walk. She can't stand for more than a few minutes. And so she's really hopeful, and, I'll be able to report on how that goes for her, but it gives her some hope, at least, that there are some things that are going to work for her. And
Right.
none of the medications from the doctors have worked at all.
Yeah,
So,
it's been quite eye-opening. And it's interesting too because I have a testimonial from Siobhan, which is which is rare. But Siobhan, and I'm gonna tell it. She told me. So if you tell me something, um, so she decided she was dealing with some issues, and so she decided to take some CBD, and she said, and I quote, "I took the CBD and I had to pee a lot." I'm like I'm like, "Okay." Well, apparently, she's like, she realized every time she takes CBD that she has to pee a lot. So, r Siobhan's one of our researchers, our research specialist, the brilliant, young, and amazing Siobhan Huggins. So she starts researching and CBD and lymphatic flow. And there is something out there that's not like it doesn't have amounts, but it just says CBD appears to improve lymphatic flow. It was like a
wow.
side note in a white paper she was reading.
Wow.
So she's gonna dig around more into that.
Good.
There's
Wonderful.
something about it that it helps improve the lymphatic system in some way. So, and my first thought is, well, if you've got lower inflammation, that could be it. Who knows? So she's gonna start looking into it because she says there's something to this,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
About CBD. And so research it. And the thing is like, Brian, your products, you have your products are certified organic,
Mhm.
um, and full spectrum, and the ingredients are right there on your page,
Yep.
so you know exactly what you're getting. They're also full spectrum, certified organic, and the ingredients are listed, so you know exactly what you're getting.
Yep.
And go ahead.
And the very critical element is that the products that I sell come from two different farms. One is in the state of Massachusetts, where I live, which is highly regulated. The state of Massachusetts, highly regulated, USDA approved certifications that the products are organically produced. And then another farm in Brattleboro, Vermont, which and the name of the farms are on the labels. I don't sell anything that you can't call the farmer and ask the farmer about what this is and
Right.
how he works. And I have visited the farms. I know both of the families that operate the farms. It's two families. One is two brothers, and another is a husband and wife. And I've been to their farms, and I see what they're doing and their attitude about quality and how, these are both farm families, history of farmers. They're not salespeople.
Right.
And that's the only people I'm going to work with and I keep looking for more farms where I can trust the owners and I'll get more and more different products and the rest of that. But the two I have, you'll always know that the product, what's in the product that you're going to buy, you know what farm it came from. And if it's not on the label, then you're getting an open market product bought from some country other than the United States. And it's there's a lot of, like one of the studies, 70% of the products that are sold in the United States, 70% of the products that are sold in the CBD products sold in the United States have heavy metals beyond the USDA and government limits on heavy metals, pesticides like phosphate that's in the key ingredient, phosphate ingredient in Roundup in there. 70% of the products that are being sold have these things in them. It's very, very Wild West on the internet and at your drugstore and your local gas station or wherever where everything's being sold, and even dispensaries. If you ask people about what it is that is in the product that works, they really don't know. There's almost no one training these people adequately on what they're selling. So anyways.
Right. And thank you, because I'd forgot that very important thing that the label has the farm listed on it,
Yeah.
and that the label also. Oh, I went brain dead for a minute.
Yeah,
It has
that.
the lab. It also it
Oh, the lab, yep.
and you can have the lab, so you can actually take a look and see what you're putting in your body.
Yep.
And we think about, well, we eat foods and we take this and we take that we don't know what's in it. And you're right, we don't know what's in it. But if we're going to take something that is as really quite powerful as CBD, we need to know what it is. Being informed about what we're putting in our body is vital. I'm putting let's see how long we've been here. We've been here for 35 minutes. I've put Brian's Calendly link in the comments. It where it says https/ all that Calendly. On there, you can click on that link and you can go directly to Brian's calendar, and you can get a 25 minute visit with him, and he will answer all your questions. And if he can't answer your questions, he'll say, I don't know, but I'll find out for you. Brian ships. He has free shipping on his page. I put and he will get his page to you. On that, you can email Brian. As you can see underneath our pictures right now, it says Brian at lipedema-simplified.org. So we can have that. Excuse me, you can use that, and you can just email him. Brian often puts his phone number out there. You can text him. Please, please respect his office hours, which
I don't bother with the office hours.
well, he's on the East Coast, so
Calm
just
down.
remember he's on the East Coast,
Don't
and
worry about what time it is.
he has a
And
bedtime.
I'm around. If I'm not asleep, I'm around.
I'm terrible. Respect office hours. Let me see. So there's always all kinds of ways to reach Brian. He is at Natural Wellness Boston. I'm going to put that in the chat right now so you guys can see it. naturalwellnessboston.com. He's at Natural Wellness Boston, but really, if you click on his link to make an appointment with him, if you click on that link, Brian will talk to you um, any old day of the week. It appears that
Generally,
and I use his products. Many of the members of our community use his products. They have found great relief from sometimes everyday pain. I have found relief from restless legs. I have, and itching hands. Along with it, I sleep better when I take CBD. There's just so many things that we can benefit from just looking at some of these things about CBD. But one thing we do want to make sure that you know is that if and when you decide to take CBD, if you're an informed consumer, make sure that your doctor knows that you've started, especially if you're on medications, certain medications. Make sure that your doctor knows that you plan on starting CBD because your medications might have to be adjusted. Just because they'll be either could become more effective, or the CBD, because it lowers inflammation, um, might affect your medication. So just keep your doctor informed if you're on medications. And I'm trying to think if there's something else. Um, Brian will, even if you don't order from Brian, if you decide to order or buy CBD from someplace else, Brian's happy to look at your label and help you understand if it's a good product for you. Brian cannot ship into Canada, but he has been able to ship to other countries. But he can't ship into Canada. Canada doesn't let the CBD get shipped in, but Canada does have a lot of strict regulations. He will also look at your labels if you're in Canada to help you understand if what product you're getting is a high quality product. Is there anything else, Brian, that okay, here, let me get this up here. I'll put your phone number in there too.
Can you see the comments that I stuck up there or not? Are they not coming out?
In a private chat, yes, I did. Here's your here's his phone number. Call or text it. And I'll put that here too. If you guys can see that, call or text 508-450-2010. And if you have any questions before we go, let me know.
One other thought that I had that that I've heard you say many times, Gail, is that it made a really big difference to realize that lipedema is a disease and it's not your fault. You didn't cause it, and you really can't fix it, on your own. You need help.
Right.
Yeah. Lipedema Simplified has a lot of help, not just with these pain products, but also lots of help and support.
Right. So Kristen says, thank you very much. This was very informative. One of the things that we do here At Lipedema Simplified is we try to make sure that we stay up to date on everything we possibly can to bring you the information that you need. Lipedema, as Brian says, we tell everybody it's not your fault. Sometimes we're so angry at ourselves or our bodies, we feel betrayed, we feel alone, and we're not alone. There's millions of us, many of us are not diagnosed by a doctor. We can't find help with doctors. We have to turn to the community, and that's where we find our help, is from the community, because it's just not a prevalent diagnosis. I've had community members tell me one doctor diagnosed me with lipedema, and the next doctor told me, "Oh, you don't have it." So it's doctors aren't quite sure about this whole thing. There are doctors out there who are listening to us. Make sure, if you have lipedema, make sure it's in your chart. That's the one thing I think we have to do. And if you are self-diagnosed, get information and take it to a doctor and say, "Look, I know I have this." And if they don't listen to you, take it someplace else.
Yeah.
You can. We have a lot of people in rural communities, and doctors just don't have, they don't have the information. It's hard to switch doctors. That's okay. We have electronic charts. Get lipedema in your chart. The more people who have it in their chart, the more it's going to be paid attention to. So Dawn says, and I'm thinking you're talking about lipedema. Can it also contribute to restless leg syndrome? Lipedema can, I shouldn't say that can. Lipedema is, people with lipedema often have restless leg syndrome. I cannot tell you whether it's connected, but I do know I've had it since I was in high school. And that for the first time using CBD, my legs are calm when I go to bed. And I didn't want to take medications for restless leg syndrome, because I don't want to take a lot of medications, and so I would not, I never really brought it up as far as what medication can I take for this. But I can tell you, since taking CBD, my legs are much calmer at night. So
Quite a number of the ladies tell me the same thing.
go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
Quite a number of the ladies that I talk to have what they feel like is restless leg. They have to move their legs at night, whether it's restless leg or, some say it's just that they're in so much pain to keep moving. But taking CBD before they go to bed has dramatically improved that. Yeah. And
Right.
the thing about, I was talking to a lady yesterday who commented also that she was overweight, and that the doctors are saying to her until she loses weight, they don't want to deal with her. And I think that a lot of, people treat people who are overweight as if it's their fault. And it is clearly not your fault that either, because like the lady was telling me yesterday, the chatter about food, even when she stops, is so strong in her head. And there's a lot of people that I know, because I'm in a 12-step program, that the difficulty of stopping is a disease. It's not necessarily our fault. And so I think that's another thing too, that women can tell themselves, or people can tell themselves, that it's their fault that they're overweight, and that added with the lipedema makes them feel even worse about themselves. And so it's
Right.
just not
Right.
fair.
And we are finding more and more that obesity is not the fault of the obese.
Right.
We're finding it more and more. It's not just that lipedema isn't our fault. Obesity is not our fault. and it's also not a saying those words is not a cop out. Most of us who are, I'm going to say the majority of us who are overweight, who live with obesity, have been dieting our whole lives without results. There's a thing called diet fatigue, where we'll diet, work out, no results, and we just can't keep going. And like Dawn wants to make sure, she has 2 bottles of CBD that she wants you to look at. Please, Dawn, I'm going to put his phone number in there again if you didn't get it.
You can text if you take a picture with your phone. If you take a picture with your phone of the front label and the back label and text that to me, I will evaluate it and give you a written report back, letting you know what the story is.
And if you want to talk to him personally,
yeah, just give me a call.
And you want an appointment with him, I'm putting that in there again. It's a blue. You can just click on that. Oh, sorry, I just put it in the wrong spot. Let me put it in the group chat, not the private chat. I just stuck it in the private chat. So I've just put his Calendly link in there again too. Dawn has your phone number. So she says that the doctor's here. If you just lose weight, your legs won't hurt so much.
Yeah.
And that is something that we have heard all our lives.
Right.
And yet our legs, our beautiful, wonderful legs that we carry with us and that carry us around, are starting to, I was going to say, wear down, right? They get so heavy, they hurt so much, and we care deeply for them. We want our legs to feel better. We want our arms not to be so heavy we can't lift them over our heads. And yet somehow it's all our fault that, and we're like, well, no, there's something wrong with our legs. There's something wrong with our arms. Our bodies need our help. And that's what Lipedema Simplified is here for. You can find answers in a group. The community is wise. We have all been doing this for years. We've been managing our lipedema. Even before we knew we had lipedema, we've been managing our lipedema. And it's time for us to turn to our bodies and say, I want to be your friend. I want to be your friend. Catherine has a quote that she often uses, and I'm going to put it up here because I love it and I want to read it. And I said to my body softly, I want to be your friend. It took a long breath and replied, I have been waiting my whole life for this. And with that, thank you so much, Brian, for being here today. And thank you, everybody, for coming, sharing your morning, your afternoon with us. And we shall see you again next Tuesday.